Bibi Netanyahu's political future. Israel's prime minister facing corruption charges, which he denies and calls an attempted coup. Our next guest argues the lack of any evidence of a quid pro quo echoes what is happening here in the U.S. Eugene Kantorovich is director of the Kohelet Policy Forum and expert on Israeli-Arab conflict. He joins us now to explain. Eugene, thanks for being here this morning. We really appreciate it. I think a lot of folks in the States are confused by what's happening in Israel. They see these charges of the prime minister. What does it mean?
Yeah, the charges are based on crimes no one has ever been accused or prosecuted of before. They're basically saying that because Netanyahu discussed favorable media coverage with some of the media magnates, he'd say, you should really cover me better. Or they'd say, maybe we will cover you better. That itself constitutes bribery. Simply discussing favorable media coverage with the press and a politician, those two talking about their coverage in the media, which of course the press and politicians do all the time, is itself the taking of a bribe, even if nothing is promised in return, and as is clear in this situation, nothing is delivered in return.
So, Eugene,
it's making a crime out of talking to journalists.
Our president has, on many occasions, tweeted about the coverage he gets, favorable or unfavorable. You're saying that, alongside some gifts of champagne and cigars and other things, are ultimately what they're trying to do, because they want to get rid of Bibi Netanyahu, the longest-serving prime minister there. His opponents looking for anything they can get.
It's clear from the timing that this is designed to depose the prime minister without a trial, because this announcement was made on the first day of the 21-day period where neither Netanyahu nor his opponent Gantz can form a government, and it's up to the Knesset to form a government. And that 21-day period where governments can be put together by anyone, including Bibi, that is the unique window where they dropped this indictment, making it extraordinarily hard for Bibi to participate in that coalition formation. It's designed to keep him out of the government, and we know the Attorney General and the prosecutor think that he should not even be allowed to try to form a government, even though nothing in the Constitution says that. They're trying to get him out of office. The actual trial and the prosecution is beside the point.
So, Eugene, we hear words like deep state here in the United States. I've gotten a crash course on Israeli politics. There's something very similar there.
Except the deep state there is even deeper. The Attorney General is not hand-picked by the Prime Minister. He can't really be removed by the Prime Minister. All of the leading prosecutors are career civil servants, and they say they're not working for the government. They say they're working for the rule of law, and it's a professional bureaucratic class with its own priorities and its own values that is trying to remove a Prime Minister, even though the Constitution in Israel clearly says you only need to step down once you've been convicted.
The professional bureaucratic class taking on a duly elected prime minister. We know a little bit about that in the United States. Briefly, the U.S. move to deem settlements in Judea and Samaria not to be illegal. How significant is that?
It's an extraordinary accomplishment by the Trump administration. There has been this Carter-era memo sitting around since 1978. It was adopted by the Carter administration to pressure Israel, and it's contributed to this narrative that it's a war crime for Jews to live in the old city of Jerusalem, to live in Jewish historic areas. That idea has always been wrong as a matter of law, but no one went to the bureaucratic fight of getting rid of this State Department policy. And what this shows is, at a time when the media wants us to believe that Trump is now turning his back on Israel because of the Kurds in Syria or something like this, that Trump is no longer a friend of Israel, what this shows is Trump is still the most pro-Israel president ever, and has an agenda to continue solidifying U.S.-Israel relationships and getting rid of the bad dynamic of the Middle East peace process that has actually stopped peace from occurring.
Makes sense to me. And alongside moving the embassy to Jerusalem, big moves by this president in Israel. Professor, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, an incredible